A little bit will be review from the things from the video as well, but we'll just go through the 4 pieces that are involved in setting up auto renewals, including just reviewing some settings and then making decisions about what you want to have auto renew.
Okay.
So thanks for sharing your screen. We'll be doing all of this stuff in the configuration side of Alma. So switching to configuration at the institutional level, the first thing we'll look at is, and that's where you're at, which is great. The first thing we'll look at is just a review. So if you'll go to the fulfillment area there on the left, and then on the far right side under general, the fulfillment jobs configuration. And so this is the setting area of settings that we ask libraries not to touch because these jobs all have to have the same settings to work consortially in the iShare environment. So we're here to look at this, but these are jobs that only Carly edits so that we can keep you all consistent.
Okay.
But the second job there, the send courtesy notices and handle loan renewals job, that's the job that runs the automatic renewals part of the process. And turning on auto renewals as a new thing was less scary for us as Carly staff than some things we do, just because this job is already up and running for as long as we've been using Alma. So the send courtesy notices and handle loan renewals job has been running since pretty much when we started. There was that weird little time in 2020 when no one was in their library that we hadn't turned it on yet, but it's been going for several years now. So what this job does is it runs at every iShare library every night at midnight, and it's looking for loans that are exactly 3 days before the due date. So it's on the 3rd date before the item is due. Alma, when that job runs, looks at all of the loan transactions that are not yet lost. It's looking for loan transactions where the item is exactly 3 days before the due date. And when it identifies that subset of loans, then it's looking to see, is there an automatic loan renewal rule that I can use for this loan to try to renew the item? And if yes, is the loan in the patron record in a condition that allows me to renew it? Does the term of use say that it can be renewed? And then if yes, it will auto-renew the loan. If not, it sends the patron the courtesy letter. So the things that changed recently are Carly staff came in and checked that checkbox that said notify automatic renewals. That was new with the November release when they released the letter that allowed automatic renewals or allowed patrons to be notified that their loan had been renewed. Why there's a checkbox here for that letter, but not the courtesy letter also, I don't know, but that's just how they coded it. So we checked the checkbox, which meant that Alma could use the letter, which we'll review here in a bit, to tell patrons like, hey, we renewed your thing. So what this also means is that since it's looking for loans where the due date is exactly 3 days before the due date, any terms of use you might have that give a patron a loan less than 3 days will not be eligible for auto renewal because they would not get caught by this job. It's looking for exactly 3 days before the due date, so loans less than 3 days won't be auto renewed.
Okay.
Okay, so from here, go ahead and push that back button. And so the next piece we'll go ahead then and we'll take a look at is the 2 letters that are involved in this. So if you want to go to the general area of configuration, and then under letters, letter configuration. So there are 2 letters that are involved in this process. That second one, the automatic loans renew notice. Feel free to go ahead and click into that letter. And so for this letter, this is the new one that Ex Libris added. There on the left side in the XSL, if you want to scroll down in that little area of the window, they make the little scrollies kind of hard to find. You'll notice, there we go. We've added, as part of enabling this for iShare patrons, there's consortial messaging that's included in here. This is the wording that we hard code in the XSL so that no matter which library the patron borrows material from, iShare patrons will get the same wording. So iShare patrons, when their item gets auto-renewed, will get this wording. The following items have been automatically renewed. If you are finished using these items, please return them. So the Carly Resource Sharing Committee drafted that wording. They looked at the survey results that they received and from their own conversations. And there was an interest in putting in a gentle reminder that like, hey, we did automatically renew this, but if you're done with it, please bring it back. So that's the wording that they're working with now. So iShare patrons, whether they get one of your library's items or something from any of the other iShare libraries, that's the wording they will get if their loan is automatically renewed. For your local patrons, it uses the data in the message field. So at the top of the letter webpage on the far right, there's a link that says labels. And so in that labels area, so the message field, if you want to scroll down, that's the wording that local patrons will receive. Right now, it's set at the default. If you might like to change that, click the little 3-dot ellipsis button and choose Customize. That just opens that field up for editing. The default wording just says the following items have been renewed. And so that's the default wording, which is totally accurate. But if your institution would like that to say anything else, you can type what you would like in that message box.
Okay.
And that can be changed at any time, and it just then applies to the next batch of letters that go out. When we set this up, we pulled in the address from email address that you had used in your courtesy letter. We figured it would be the same email that would handle both of those replies. And the other thing of note about the letter, if you want to scroll back up, is the subject, which is there at number 3. The subject headings of both the automatic loans renew letter and the courtesy letter have been standardized across the consortium, both for local loans and for iShare. Again, from the survey that the committee did and the resource sharing committee's discussion, there was mention that patrons often don't actually read their emails. And so the committee thought about how to choose a subject that even if the patron did not click into the message, the subject line would tell them what happened. So it might entice them in. So the subject just says now library items automatically renewed. And since that's set the same across the consortium, the hope is that patrons will get used to those subjects and then know what having an email with that subject infers. So
your recommendation is for us to keep that for our local also then?
Yeah, that subject line, there's unfortunately, and we had asked Ex Libris, is there a way to have a different subject for local versus iShare? And they said no.
Okay.
So that subject field has to be the same for everybody, unfortunately. We'd hope there was a way to have an iShare versus local heading or a subject, but Ex Libris was like, nope, not possible.
So can I ask a question here?
Uh-huh.
If somebody checks out a book from iShare and somebody checks out a book from local on the exact same day and they renew on the same day, will they get one letter or two?
These letters are always sent by the items owning institution. So if they had a book from an iShare library, so let's just say Principia and an item from Olivet, they would get a Principia letter and an Olivet letter.
So if they had 3 iShare books from 3 different institutions, they'd get 3 different letters?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Yep. Unfortunately, for how large our consortium is, those type of letters, since the loan transaction is recorded in the items owning institution, those letters are sent by the items library. Now, if they had 10 items from the same library, so if your patron had 10 Principia items, they would get just one letter that listed all of the Principia things in it. But yeah, it's sent by the items library.
Okay, and then you might address this later too, so just stop me. Is there a way to see the letters that were sent out from iShare if it was a library that's not ours?
No, I don't think you would be able to see that. They would be on the attachments tab at the items institution.
So what is your recommendation to the interlibrary loan department that wants to kind of, now that they're going to have books longer, kind of keep their eye on them? Is that a report? Should we be pulling that report out of the FTP?
There is the report in the FTP if you want to pull up another tab of the internet, another internet tab. We'll just go to the Carly website. So if you want to go to carly.illinois.edu, and then in the search box, just type what's in my FTP. There's probably a way we can click to it, but I know this will bring it up. Okay. So what's in my FTP, and then do a search. Let's see here. So that second link, what's in my FTP on the Carly Files server. Okay, if we scroll down here, I'm just blanking on the exact name of the report, and I know it will be listed here. So let's see. So not any of those. Okay, so so all we have is counts. So user loan counts at other iShare libraries. So it counts how many loans your user has. So that
But
lets you know
I
which
think
user.
we get a list of, we do this one once a month, and I think we get a
Mhm.
list of the patrons that actually have books out.
Okay, that could be an analytics report that has been scripted for you that I'm just not aware of.
Okay.
And that's something we can look into, but I'm afraid I don't remember that then.
And that's okay. And you don't even have to answer it. I can
Mhm.
go look at it too and see if it has what they think they need. So,
Yeah, if it doesn't, you can let us know and we can see if there's something that we can do with that. But
okay.
I'm not familiar with that specific report. These ones I know we run automatically for everybody, but yeah, it's just counts.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to head back over to Alma, you can leave that tab up or just whatever. So yeah, so since that is generated by, like those letters are generated by the items library, they're in the report history and the attachments tab for the patron at the items library. You'll be able to see every letter for all of that things that get auto-renewed. Those will end up in the job history and then on the attachments tab in your copies of the user's records. But yeah, that's one of those things that's in the items library.
Okay. So if we turn it on for local, we could
Mhm.
still see who has it local. We just can't see other libraries.
Yep, you can see any auto renewal that happens for an all of that item.
Okay.
Yep, go ahead and push cancel there. All right, and then go ahead and push cancel there. And if you do want to edit that wording for your local patrons, if you need to repush the customize button to get access to that field, please do.
Okay.
The second letter then is the courtesy letter, and so that'll be here on the first page as well. And go ahead and click into that one too. So the courtesy letter, this is the one that's been running for a long time that we've been using Alma. If you want to scroll down in that XSL area again, we updated the wording that iShare patrons get. Now it says the following items are due soon. Please return these items or contact the lending library for more information. It used to say, please return or renew these items, but since this is the wording for iShare patrons, chances are if they're getting the courtesy letter, which is what is sent 3 days before the item is due, they're not eligible for a renewal. So we wanted to take out the potential promise of renewal and just say like, hey, please return it or you'll need to contact that library. So that's the iShare wording that's hard-coded. If you want to click on the labels area again. So the subject here, again, that is standardized across the consortium now. That says library items due soon. So that's that same hope that by putting in the action description in the subject, patrons will get used to seeing that subject and know, okay, library items are due soon. I should open this email and see which library items. So that's standardized. The message field, again, is what would apply for your things that are auto-renewed. If you want to hover over that message field area down there at the bottom, it will show
Okay.
you what yours says. It's weird because they're alphabetical by the description, which is the thing that's edited, but not always because the subject at the top stays at the top. So I don't really know what it's doing.
Okay.
So your wording is the default, which just says the following items will be due soon. Please return or renew these items. So you're welcome to edit this message as well. If you want it to have different wording than that default that is in there.
Can I just right now go and use your guys' wording just to get us started?
Yeah, you're welcome to.
Is that okay to just
Yep,
grab this right
feel
here?
free to copy that if you want.
You don't need the code, I'm assuming. Okay.
Yeah, you don't need the hard coding.
And this is where, did I have to hit customize, did you say?
It'll be down at the bottom. This one has already been edited. Looks like back in 2020.
Okay.
So you'll just, you can just erase that out of there and paste in the new wording. Yep. And the short loan message that's above it, that's for things that have minute-based or hour-based loan periods. So often those will not be able to be auto-renewed because short loans usually, when people pick hour loan periods, they're usually not picking like 84 hours, which would put it over the 3 days thing.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. The table's weird.
So I should leave that one.
You can leave that one if you want, because there might be a potential that they could renew those ones more than the regular length loan things.
And then I
Yep,
click
and then
save.
save at the top.
If
Then
I did this example one, will it give me the iShare one or the local one?
it will depend. So this default one, it'll depend on what they've hard coded in the sample XML, and I can't remember what they've got
Okay.
there.
I
You
might just
could,
send myself one real quick just while I have this.
yeah.
Okay. I'll
We
look
can
at it
also
later.
pull in a letter example if you want, like up next to the labels where it says letter examples.
Oh, okay.
The thing we don't know, and then if you want to add from system letters, the thing we don't know is just by looking, so these are courtesy notices that have been sent recently. So you're welcome to come back and see if you pull a iShare or a local one. They have real patron data in them, and I'm not sure if you want that in this recording.
Okay.
But what you can do is select any of those, and then it will pull it in to be the example, and then you can see what it looks like with an actual transactional data.
That'll be great. Thank you.
It's kind of, yeah, so some of those might be iShare, some of those might be local, just depending on the most recent 10 that have been sent is all that it offers.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can pull letter examples from system, then you'll get a more complete preview because it'll actually have filled in metadata for it to populate it with.
That would be great. Thanks.
And then go ahead and push save at the top of this letter screen.
Writing something down.
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah, pause at any moment. And then you can use the back button next to the courtesy letter name. And then save at the top of the letters list one more. I don't know why there's so many saves for letters, but I just push them all when you change something.
Just to make sure.
You never know which one. It may just be like saving the things on the specific page, but it's like, well, if there's 3 buttons, we'll just push it 3 times. Okay, so those are the 2 letters that are involved, the automatic loans renew notice and the courtesy letter. Okay. So again, if Alma, when Alma runs the job at midnight each night, it's taking a look at all those transactions. It's checking, hey, can I auto renew this? If yes, the patron gets the automatic loans renew notice. If no, it cannot be renewed, then the patron gets the courtesy letter.
Okay.
Okay, so the next thing we want to do is take a look at your fulfillment units and the terms of use that are involved so that we can just double check that for your local patrons that your terms of use are set up to allow the length of renewals that you would like them to send. We're going to start at the terms of use level for the first one just to check one extra setting. Then we'll switch out to the fulfillment unit level to give the broader context of who's getting which things. So right where you were under physical fulfillment term of use and policies, go ahead and click on that. At the top of the table where it says term of use type right above the blue bar, switch that to loan because it's only looking at the loan terms of use. And we'll go ahead and we'll use that number 1, which is the iShare print TOU as our example to test for this final setting that we'll only, I think, have to look at once. So there are potentially 5 settings that affect the auto renewal process. Those settings are number 1, is it loanable? And so yes, this is. Number 3, what is the due date? The due date here is 28 days. And then if you scroll down a little more, number 14, is it renewable? Yes, it is renewable. When that is set to renewable, then number 15 comes into play, which is what is the maximum renewal period, aka the maximum length of loan, and so up to 112 days. So just for those 4 settings, this is the iShare term of use. If an iShare patron's loan is auto-renewed at 3 days before the due date, Alma's checking, hey, can I auto-renew this? If yes, Alma will extend the due date again by that initial loan period, so another 28 days. Then that loan period will occur, and then again, Alma at 3 days before the due date, if they don't manually renew or return it, Alma will then extend the due date by another 28 days. Once the length of the entire loan is 112 days, Alma will not extend it beyond that 112 days. So that's the maximum length of time the patron can have it. Okay. So the bottom setting we want to check is the very last one in the list. And if you'll just click the little drop down arrow next to it, I want to make sure your library is on the default. Okay. So this setting, and yours is on the default, so that's what I just wanted to check in this first one. That setting was added by Ex Libris after we went live with Alma, and I just haven't been able to come up with a good use case to announce the existence of this setting. And the libraries I've met with so far haven't had a good suggestion for me yet either, which is what this setting would do is that it would say like, okay, we give the patron 2 months with this thing. We want them to only be able to renew it within the last week of their loan period. So it's like saying you can't renew it, you can't renew it, you can't renew it. Okay, now is the time frame when you are allowed to renew it. And our libraries don't really tend to work that way. Even our libraries that use term loans, where they're saying like you can have it for the whole semester, they're kind of manually already managing that process by deciding when they're going to advance the next term. So it's like, because this was floated as a good thing for term loans to be like, okay, you don't want them to renew it for the next semester until the end of the previous semester. But our libraries are already doing that because they're saying, okay, everything for this term is due August 30th. And then at some point, like a week before, a couple days before August 30th, staff go in and update the calendar to then be December 15th or whenever the next semester ends. Okay. So they're already kind of manually managing that process. So that's a lot of words on. I just wanted to make sure you weren't using this, but because it could affect the auto renews, but most libraries haven't. I haven't found one yet because we don't have a good use case for it. Okay. So that exists. We don't have to check it in any of the other terms of use then. So you can push the cancel button here. And now we'll switch to the top level, the fulfillment unit level, because it's easier to get the full context. So under fulfillment.
Can I ask one question here?
Yeah,
if
go
we
for
go
it.
Local, do I need to go check all of these?
We will be checking these, but through the fulfillment unit to get the better context, I think.
Okay.
The term of use is nice because that's actually the settings we are checking, but it's hard to know from the name sometimes, like who does this apply to and what items. Okay. So I've switched to checking it through the fulfillment unit level. So if you want to click fulfillment units, yep. And then from there, we will want to look at all of your rules in all of your fulfillment units. So we'll just start at circulating and we'll work down, and I'll just keep an eye on time to make sure, because I've got another meeting at 2:30, but I'll just make sure we get through as many as we can and get a chance to talk about the rule before we're out of time. Okay. And then if there's some homework piece, we can make sure you're comfortable on that, but we'll see how it goes. Okay. So we're in your circulating fulfillment unit. If you'll click on that fulfillment unit locations tab in the middle. So this is the rules we'll look at on the rules tab in a moment are applying to these 13 locations and only these 13. Okay. So your C.E. Jones reprints, College Life, Government Docs Compact Shelving, Holiness Collection, Juvenile Last Copy, Maps, Oversize, Roaming Temporary Display, Spanish Stacks, and the Teacher Education Center. So we're thinking about those locations. Then on the Rules tab, which is at the top, we're also thinking just about the loan rules, which is the default ones that we're looking at here. So where it says rule type loan, we only have to worry about these rules. I can see from the way these are named, and that Ex Libris was the last one to update most of these, these rules have been set for a while, and there hasn't been much editing except for that interlibrary loan one that Kyle had added back in 2021. So we'll just go through them. We'll see how they're set. It's a good review since it's been a while, just to make sure your rules are doing what you want and things will renew as you want as well. Okay. When Alma uses these rules, essentially like a transaction happens, Alma's like, okay, what location is the item in? Once it knows the location, it's like, okay, cool, I know which fulfillment unit to check. Then Alma is like, what type of transaction is this? Is it a loan, a request, or a booking? Then once it knows it's a loan, it knows to use the loan rules. It starts at the top with Rule 1. Each rule has input parameters in it, which we'll look at in some of the rules here in a moment. If the loan matches those input parameters, Alma says, cool, let me use the output, and the output is the terms of use. If it does not match that rule, it moves to the next one in the list, again, checks the input. If yes, uses the output. If not, goes to Rule 3. So if you want to start at Rule 4, the top 3 work with iShare So those ones are all should be good. We'll start for your local. So we'll start at Rule 4. Go ahead and click on that one. And so this is saying that, and so we can go through these rules, and if there are any questions about them, let me know. These have been set since your migration, so this is what Alma has been doing. But if you're like, I didn't expect it to be doing that, we can talk about that too.
Okay.
So if the user group is ONU affiliation, and the item policy is 14-day reserve, book 2, or serial local request. So I assume those item policies have some meaning for you. So 14-day reserve, book 2, serial local request. If it's that user group and those 3 items, then they get that term of use there on the side. So if you want to push that TOU details button, so we're going to check those 4 fields. So 1, is it loanable? Yes. 3, what's the due date? 14 days. 14, is it renewable? Yes. And then 15, what's the maximum length of time? 28 days. So this means that if auto renewal ran for that user group, for those locations, for these locations for those item policies, the patron would get an additional 14 days for the maximum of 28. And if that makes sense, you can push the back button. And then you can push the back button here as well, and we'll go to the next rule. So this one says that if the user group is grad student, staff, continuing undergrad, or graduating, and it's those 3 item policies as well, then they'll get this term of use, which is, if you want to push that TOU details button again. So loanable for 14 days in number 1 and number 3. And then number 14 is renewable, yes, for 28 days. So same thing. It will be able to be auto-renewed if you choose all of those user groups in all of these locations for an additional 14 days for 28 days total. So you can do the back button and the back button. Okay, 3rd rule, 0 days, community, regular, circulating. So if they are LH or guest pay, let me just write down those 2 user groups. And it's those same 3 item policies, then they'll get that TOU details button.
Looking on my chart here because I don't know what LH is either.
Yeah, and it could be a defunct user group that you're not using since these rules have been set since migration, but we can take a look and see.
Okay.
Then theirs is not for loan. It has no loan period, and it is not renewable. So this loan, even if you said LH and guest pay can have auto renewals, this term of use would say, but not for these items.
Okay.
So that you can push back and back. Okay, so now we'll continue down here. So 120 days, high circulating. So this is, if it's any item in those locations, except those 3 that we had that exception rule for, and they are one of these 4 user groups, then they get the TOU details that are here. So loanable for a 120-day loan, and then renewable for up to 360 days. So at 3 days before the 120, Alma would then do an auto renewal. They would get an additional 120, and then up to a maximum of 360 days. Okay, back and back. So the one below that, let's see here. So regular circulating. So if they are grad student, staff, continuing undergrad, or graduating, then TOU, loanable for 28 days, and they can renew it for up to 112 days. And if that looks good, you can push the back buttons. Okay, and then community high. Okay, community high. So ONU affiliation. So loanable for 28 days, and then renewable for up to 56. So if that seems good, you can push the back buttons. And community regular. This is the LH and the guest pay. So TOU details here, loanable for 28 days, renewable for up to 56 days. Does that seem like what you'd like for them too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so back buttons there.
When we'll have to watch this movie and review some of this because this isn't technically my department, so.
Okay, just to make sure it
So
matches
far
with
it's
other
making
people's
sense
hopes.
though, so.
Okay, yeah, it'll just be deciding, is that how long you want potentially to auto renew? And this one is one that I found so far a lot of libraries don't want auto renewals for these user groups. And it depends on what they represent at your institution. But a lot of the time, like an ILL user group is being used as the pseudo patron to record OCLC transactions,
Mhm.
where they're doing the lending through OCLC. And so staff want the OCLC due date to match the ALMA due date. So they don't want ALMA to be automatically renewing since OCLC may not be auto-renewed and those two systems aren't talking together for this. So I've had a lot of libraries say, let's exclude the ILL user group from auto renewals. Not that they're not willing to renew those items, they just want OCLC and ALMA to stay in sync with what the due date is.
Okay, and I agree. I'm sure that's true.
Okay, yeah, and so this is loanable for 6 weeks. For the initial loan period, it's renewable, but no maximum. If this was a regular patron group like undergrad, that no maximum would be concerning. But since it is a tends to be staff use accounts for those type of loans, staff would be the ones doing those renewals anyway.
Okay.
Okay, so that's it for this fulfillment unit. You can go ahead and do the cancel button here at the top.
Can I throw a chart over real fast that I made?
Yeah, sure.
Because this kind of is related. The yellow are ones that I'm not familiar with. So now I'm agreeing, like this ILL one should be orange because orange are the ones we're thinking shouldn't auto renew. I don't know if we have a choice or not, but
For your local user groups, you do.
Okay.
I'm not sure whose systems is, so the ones that say UB, those are defunct. Those are the defunct versions of the iShare user group.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right.
So those can just be ignored.
So these are the 5 groups I'm thinking after hearing what you were saying that we don't want them to renew.
Okay.
And graduating, that happens like 2 weeks before graduation. So we probably don't want that to auto renew. We probably want to manually renew for them if they've.
That would make sense.
Status.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm not sure whose system is for you all either. If you want to go back to the staff side of Alma, we can take a look. So leave configuration for a moment. And then do an advanced search at the top. So the little magnifying plus sign to the left of that. Choose user group equals. And then find that systems one. And let's just see if there are users that have systems. So it looks like things that are, so there's a couple, so these are also pseudo patrons that would probably get used for interlibrary loan purposes. Those are the hubs for Rails and Heartland plus Chicago Library System. Did you want to check LH as well?
Sure.
Yeah, so those are essentially an equivalent to the ILL user group. Let's see if there's any LH since that one, it may have already been deleted.
Show anything?
Are there any there that we don't recognize?
Yeah, because LH didn't show up in any of my other charts. That's why I was surprised. There's an L, like guest pay. The code is LL, but there's no.
Let's go back to configuration. The rules are one area that holds the name of deleted user groups. So if you want to go to user management real quick, and then under user details, user groups, we'll just see if LH is still in the main table. Looks like it's gone. Okay, so if you want to go back to fulfillment and then the fulfillment units, and then back to circulating, and then to the rules. I think it was that in the 14-day low and then the community low. So use edit mode for the 14-day low. I think that's number 6. So use the ellipsis on the side for number 6. And then edit. And then for the user group row, do edit and then save. So see how LH is not listed there?
Oh, it wasn't even there. Okay.
So it wasn't there, and then save. So if it gets deleted, this is one place it still shows till it gets cleaned out. And then scroll down a little bit more. I think there was one other one, was it community regular circulating?
No, they were really good.
Or was it?
This one?
Or it might have been, it was, yeah, I think we just did number 6. Is it number 10? Let's find out. So yeah, so same thing, do edit and then edit, or edit and then save. And then save. So that, yeah, that user group was deleted. The terms of use rules just hold on, or the fulfillment unit rules just hold on to it. So then do a save at the top there. Okay, let's go to your non-circ fulfillment unit then, and we'll just keep going down. So the locations involved in this are things like archive stuff, some probably defunct locations like electronic resource, but then also things like periodicals, newspapers, microfilm, reference, technical services, other non-circ locations and keys. So those kind of things.
Okay.
So rules here as well. And then loan. So this one is shorter. So the first one is for iShare. That's not loanable for them. So that term of use should be you can check it because it's your default. Let's see. So not for loan, no due date, not renewable, no maximum. So this one is in not use. So library keys, let's see. So if the location is library keys, then not for loan, not renewable, no max. So staff can do an override to check those items out to patrons, but they are currently non-circulatable without override and they were not renewable. All right, let's go through these ones. So if it's one of those 4 user groups, then not for loan, not renewable, no maximum. Okay, so no auto renewals will happen for these. So these user groups, not for loan, not renewable, no maximum. Okay, so no auto renewals would touch those either. Not for loan, no loan. Okay, consistent there too.
Didn't do this one yet, right?
Yep, that's the next one. And we can take the LH out of this in a moment. Not for loan, not renewable, no max. And you'll have to come back in edit mode for that one.
Edit.
Save and save. Okay, and then the bottom one there, interlibrary loan. So not for loan, 6 weeks. So if staff do an override, it automatically calculates as 6 weeks. It is renewable for no maximum, but again, this is that staff one.
Weird category.
I do notice that just offers ILL and not systems. The ILL rule that was in your general fulfillment unit offered systems, but I don't know if your staff are still using the systems users anymore.
Okay, I'm still looking.
It may be like loaning to the system level was a more common thing back in the day. I don't know if you're still doing that though.
Okay.
Okay, so you can push a cancel on this, or a save, I guess, because we edited that one rule. It might have stuck. Do you want to go back and check since I misled you there for a second?
Sorry.
And then the rules, it was number 6. Okay, it's stuck. Okay, now we'll go to reserves fulfillment unit, and then same thing. So these are all of the things that are in your reserves. I think it's at your reserves location. Let's check the locations real quick. I'm sorry, let's check the locations tab real quick just to make sure.
Yeah.
So circulation or informatics, the loanable library keys, and then reserves. Okay, so the iShare will be not loanable. We can start with second rule. Okay, so if it's those faculty and those items, the loan period is 2 days, it says based on this name, but we'll find out here when you push the TOU details. So loanable for 2 days, So it would not be eligible for auto renewal, but it also says no renew. So all of those settings are not going to be auto renewed. And then, yep, it'll just be clicking through all of them again, checking the user group, checking the item policies, loanable 2 days, not renewable. So not going to be auto renewed. And then 7 days.
You keep these separate. Back where I am.
These ones would be eligible for auto renewal based on the loan period, just because it's more than 3 days, but it says not renewable. So not from that part. It slightly highlights the one you were just on. Do you notice how it's kind of a bit more blue?
Oh, okay. That's helpful.
It highlights the one you were just recently in. It's just a little bit more blue. So loanable, 7 day, not renewable. And 14.
Wow, that really helps. Thank you.
Yeah, I sometimes wish it was a brighter color, but yeah, at least it's a little bit of something. So loanable, 14 days, not renewable. Loanable, 14 days, not renewable. And 2 hours is what this is saying. So I'm assuming, so loanable 2 hours, okay, not renewable, but that also would be under the auto renew threshold because it's less than 3 days. Loanable 2 hour, not renewable. And 2 more there. Not for loan, no loan, not renewable. That makes sense for community. And the bottom one, you'll probably need to edit to take out the LH as well. But we can see here, yeah, you can come in edit mode if you want. Either order, both of them are fine. Not for loan, no loan, not renewable. So that's good for the auto renew. But then if you want to edit it just to remove the LH. Okay, so that's the reserves fulfillment unit. The other two I think will need to be homework, but does that kind of process make sense for how that works?
Absolutely.
So it's just, yeah. And if you do, I guess the thing to talk about, go ahead into local for one moment and we'll just pick an example so I can talk about if you're like, ooh, that's not what we wanted, where we go to fix it. Okay. So it's looking at circ desk, displays, new books, papers, thesis, per CC, and read strat. So the rules. So if just for that first one, let's say you're like, ooh, that's not what I wanted it to be. I'm sorry, for the second one. The first ones I share, that one will be consistent. You're like, ooh, that term of use says it's renewable for forever, and that's not what we want. If you click on that TOU details button, which is probably where you'd see it, you'd be like, that isn't what we want. And this is hypothetical. It's probably fine. Renewal for 28 is totally fine. So this is fully hypothetical, but you're like, that should not be renewable for 7 years or whatever it is. The name is showing there on the right for you. 14 days community high local request 14-day loan. I usually copy that out and then I put it in like a notepad document.
Okay.
And then you can also see it if you go push the back button once.
This back button?
The one below. Yeah, push that back button. The name also shows there, but it's just harder to copy there in that term of use output.
Okay.
Like in the output parameters, it's just harder to copy from that, which is why I had you copy it from the other place. Like down below where you push the TOU buttons. Like that's where it also shows to the left there, but that's just harder to copy sometimes. Okay. So either place, it's the same name. Once you've got the name of the one you want to edit, you would then go to the fulfillment area and then back to that term of use and policies middle level. You could paste it up there to search for, or if that didn't work, you can type just the first part of it or just browse through the name of the, so 14 days community, then you've got that name pasted for whichever one it is. I don't remember which one it was.
I don't remember either.
But whichever one it is, 14 days. So let's just pretend it is that first one because it's all hypothetical. Okay. For that one, then you would edit it and then you would change the value to be what you wanted it to be.
Okay.
So if you're like, okay, we need to change that renewal period, number 15 is here as well.
Okay.
So so if you're like, ooh, that's not what I want when you're reviewing the fulfillment unit, you come in for the term of use directly at that level and make the edit at this level.
Okay.
Yep, and you can push back or cancel. And then, so you'll finish then the bottom two fulfillment units. So fulfillment unit, homework of local request and media. Same thing, just go through, make sure when you're reviewing those terms of use that the loan period is what you'd expect and the renewal period is what you would expect.
Okay.
So now we'll switch to talking about the last part of the process, which is actually the rules. So under fulfillment, and then directly across from your mouse, the auto loan renewal rules. Yep, you were just there.
Oh.
It's a hard one to find because it's like right there. So these are the rules that job that runs every night is looking for to say like, hey, do I have permission to do any automatic renewals? Until July 28th, when we turned on auto renewals for iShare, the only rule that was in this list was that default rule at the bottom. So go ahead and click on the default rule and just on the name of it there. So this default rule should stay set this way. We like the defaults in Alma to be the no. And so it just says, if there's no rule that permits auto renewals, essentially, then the default is no auto renewal. So false means don't auto renew it. So go ahead and push the back button. So before I added that iShare rule, every single time that job ran, it would just find only the default rule, which was like, nope, can't auto renew. So then everybody got courtesy notices. So the rule that's currently defined now in that institutional rules list, go ahead and click on the name of that one. Up a little bit for the automatic renewals for iShare patrons. So this is the one that we added in all of the iShare libraries on July 28th. And it just says, if the user group is iShare, then auto renewal is true. So this is what gives the job permission that if it is an iShare patron who has your Olivet material checked out, Alma then checks the condition of the patron record, of the item record, and then also the terms of use to say, okay, do I have permission to auto renew? If those things check out, then yes, the auto renew happens. So you can push the back button here. For Olivet, if you're thinking that you might like to turn on auto renewals, we can add rules today. We can also then turn them off. Like you see that little enabled checkbox over there next to the iShare one. We can add local rules and then turn them off until you have the chance to talk to your coworkers.
That'd be awesome.
So if you want to, the name of this rule, these rules will stay numbers 2 and 3 because the iShare rule will stay at the top of the list for consistency's sake. Okay. Alma, I think, uses the rules in order from top. Yeah, it uses the rules in order from top down. So start at rule 1, just like with the fulfillment unit, and use them down. So this one can be either your no, don't auto renew for these local patrons rule, or it can be your yes, auto renew for our patrons rule, because they'll probably be mutually exclusive. Like you wouldn't list the same user group in both.
Let's just do yes first. So it's by the iShare one.
Okay. So this can have whatever name you want it to have. We called the iShare one automatic renewals for iShare patron loans, but this is whatever you would like it to be. So it could be for local, for Olivet, for ONU.
Can I edit this when I'm done?
You can edit it. You'll probably want to have a word in there that indicates the local part or the Olivet part, since the iShare said, hey, this is just for iShare. Okay. Then in the add parameter part, in that middle part of it, you'll choose user group. And then enlist as your operator. And then you'll choose the user groups that you want to enable auto renewals for. Okay, and you don't need to worry about iShare.
Do one for right now, just for, okay. Or do we have time to?
You can go ahead and select a couple if you want, or one is okay if we're going to not enable it until you're ready. Either way. You would then just come in and edit it later to add the other ones to that group.
Okay.
What you'll do then in the description, or what I like to do, is in the description field at the top, right below the name, I like to put applies to. and then copy and paste the user group just so you know at a glance from the table on the previous screen what user groups are the ones that this applies to.
So like I would put faculty since that's the only thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you edit the table or add more user groups, you would then update your description as well.
Okay.
Then the last thing, the auto renewal variable, change that to true. So this would be permitting faculty to get auto renewals based on the conditions of the patron, the loan, and the term of use.
Okay.
And then save. And if you don't want that on for now, go ahead and toggle the enabled to off. Okay, so that one's here for you to edit later, but it's not currently going to run. Okay, and then now do a add rule. And this will be your definitely like nopes. So like you could be like prevent auto renewals or whatever wording you would like.
I'll go clean it up later so that they're consistent because I'm really
Okay. Yeah, I think you put local all of it, I think.
Local, right.
Okay, and then add parameter. This is where you'll explicitly do a user group in list. And then list the user groups you know you want to have no's. And same thing, you can add more to the list later if you want to, because it'd be applies to. And just update that description. And then that will stay false because you want this to be like the nope, you are not getting auto renewals. So those are the user-based rules you've got. So the iShare rule, and go ahead and turn that one off as well till you're ready to enable for all local. Okay. So these are the user group-based rules that will give iShare gets a yes for rule 1. Your next rule is your local yes, and then the third one is the local no. Okay. It is also possible to add location-based rules if you want as well. Like if you want to belt and suspenders any particular library locations that you know you always want to be a no. You have the term of use set to say no for certain things, but if you're like, well, we want to make sure, you can add a location-based no rule also.
Okay, so like if we didn't want new books to renew, I could just set it up the same way.
Yes. So you would add a rule that was like prevents auto renewals by location. And it's really a belt and suspenders because the terms of use should already be preventing it. But if you want to be certain that no one edits that TOU, that's when this can happen.
Or it comes up and we didn't.
Yes. Someone like something got edited. So this would be a prevents by location. So for your name, you would choose the location and then in list. And then you choose the locations you want to prevent.
Oh, this is great. Okay.
And it would stay false.
I don't know that they even want this. We were still in the middle of discussing those things, but.
Yeah, if you want to save it and then leave it turned off, and you can always delete it then if they're like, nah, we don't need to belt and suspenders it.
Okay.
And this would just be by location. Or local locations.
Specific locations.
Yeah, whichever name will make sense.
Because that, I would know that was an iShare, right?
Yeah, and then description you'd put applies to new books. And then again, if you need to add more to that list, you could, and you'd leave that as false. And since Alma uses these rules from top to down, move that location list to become rule number 2. Use those tiny little arrows. Okay, so now no matter which local patron wants to auto-renew, if it happens, they would catch rule 2. So even if they were faculty and it says yes, that location 1 will catch it first because that's above the user group.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like it's always a no if it's new books. So that those kind of exceptions go above the more default.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can, and if they decide they don't want the belt and suspenders for location, that rule can just be deleted with the ellipsis. If they do,
Or remove a location if they don't want a certain.
yeah, you can, if you can add or remove those locations as you need. It doesn't do anything retroactively. It's just when the next time the job runs, it checks those rules again.
Okay.
So yeah, so those are now set up. They are all turned off, so they should not be in effect yet. Real quick, how to check the job that happens. So if you want to push the back button to go to the staff side, under the admin area, there is the monitor jobs. And then on the history tab, in that name search, right above that, type the word courtesy.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me spell that.
I know, Courtesy. That's always a hard one for me too. And there'll be a Courtesy. Perfect. And then search. It defaults to the last 24 hours. So it, you can change the dates if you want, but it usually shows me 2 because it's showing the last 24 hours. So go ahead and click on that second one just as an example. So when you're taking a look at the job report, you'll start to notice more of these come into play. So that first one, and you don't have to click on it because then it'd show patron info that I don't know that you want on screen. Okay. But the first one, every time the job runs, Alma has been saying like, hey, can I renew this thing? And so all of your transactions up until the iShare ones were enabled would be listed under that first one, which is like loan was not renewed because there wasn't a rule that permitted it. Okay. So again, if like your ILL user or your guest user has a loan, they'll still catch that first one because they're not permitted because the rule says no. Okay. If it is permitted though, but there's something else that prevents the renewal, they'll be listed under number 2, loan not renewed. So that's like a faculty member whose account has expired or has a block or has reached the end of their maximum renewal period. So it was eligible by rule, but something about the transaction said no. Those will be under number 2. Okay. If the loan is renewed, then it'll be either under number 3 or 4. We sent the letter, or the letter was not able to be sent for some reason. So it got renewed and Alma sent the letter, or it got renewed and Alma did not send the letter. The bottom ones are all about the courtesy. So if it is not renewed, then the patron gets the courtesy letter. So that courtesy notice was sent. Will tell you who got the courtesy. And then all of those failed ones are reasons why the courtesy was not sent.
Is there a way to give permissions to just these 2 job reports to specific people?
There might be a way to schedule Alma to send the report to a specific person. Okay. But there's not a way in admin to give admin permissions just for this report. Okay. So I think there might be a way to schedule who gets it. I would have to look at where that is at, but okay. I can send that with the recording. That'd be great. Because that might be helpful to them, at least at first. They can kind of watch it. Yep. Well, I'm afraid I've got to get to my other meeting, but do you have any last moment questions? Oh, no. Thank you so much. Time goes by so fast. I'll send the recording as soon as it's done doing its recording processing. Have a great weekend, Debbie. Thank you. You too. Bye. Bye.